Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Radiorama, where, as the name entails, I show you how to work on radios, but also televisions, stereo systems, record players, anything that runs on vacuum tubes, or as you guys overseas call them, valves, or whatever. And today we have kind of a unique, interesting set that I've never worked on before as far as the model. It's a 1939 Detrola model 302 with a built-in clock. I'm going to guess it's a 5-tube set. It's curious to me because there is 2 cords coming out of it. And that doesn't make any sense. Why would you need to have 2 plugs when you could just run... See, I think someone's modified this. I think that's a later addition. In fact, when I was looking at it, it says here on the bottom that it has a new Telechron clock, September 23rd, 1955. It's a compact little machine, isn't it? It looks like, I can't tell, this is cardboard. Luckily it has not disintegrated. And has another marking here, 32651. AC warning DC. Failure to place this switch in proper position for current supply will damage clock. Clock will not operate on DC. I hope there's a switch that's in the right position. I guess I'll know once I get this out of here. It looks like the chassis is held in with these 2 screws here. And pull the knobs, pull the back, and see what's going on. This is actually a set that is on consignment. So when we have our auction, which is going to be in late July, 50% of the proceeds goes to the owner. But these are quite valuable, so it's worth the effort. Plus, it's an interesting little set, I have to say. It's not even that big. I mean, this is my hand. I mean, it's a little radio, but what a weird shape. I think they were going for a mantle clock sort of appearance, maybe. Well, as soon as I took the back off, there was something I noticed right away. I know it may not show up in the video, but if you look real closely here, there's a sheet of fabric type material. And in an old radio, that can only mean one thing. It's a sheet of compressed asbestos. Now, if you're not comfortable working around this stuff, then probably the best thing for you to do is just put the set back together and let it be. And again, I'm not going to recommend anyone do what I'm about to do. But what I am going to do is take the screws out of the bottom. I don't have any fans going. I'm going to have a respirator on. I'm going to take the chassis out, and then I'm going to soak. Well, first of all, see if the the asbestos cardboard will come out in one neat piece, and then I will put it in a plastic bag and tape it up, and later it'll go to a hazardous waste facility. Don't bury this stuff in your yard. Don't throw it in the garbage. So here we go. Well, it all came out in one solid piece. I did still wet it down, and I broke it in half and I put it in this bag. But it left no residue behind or anything. I even checked underneath the chassis. It's clean. And while I'm looking here, this thing's been worked on, and I'm going to bet that this thing still works, because you've got these vitamin Q, not vitamin Q, I'm sorry, these are Sprague Adams caps. And they're usually pretty good. These guys too, usually when you see bumblebee caps that aren't striped, instead they have a solid stripe, like a solid color. That usually means they're aluminum film, well, plastic film rather, not paper film. Probably replaced them anyway. Again, this is kind of a high dollar set, so I want to make sure it's done right. We need to replace the cord, obviously. Let's take a look at the movement. The movement is held in with 2 screws that removes that cardboard drum. And I'm guessing this little knurled piece comes unscrewed. And then you can push the whole thing through that cardboard to the front. It says it's a Telecron movement. And I'm trying to think, if it's from 1939, I think the movement's just the drum, the rotor's a little fatter and wider. I'm used to working on 50s clock radios, and they're totally different. But yeah, we've got 3 caps here. Let me replace the cord, then I'm going to bring it up slowly. See what its condition is. I'm going to bet it works. Well, it did a great job here. When I was pushing that cord through, I broke the cap off of this dog bone resistor. And the way you read these guys, it's BED, body in dot. So this is orange, black dot. Silver is the 3rd dot, so it just means it's 30 ohms. I don't have 30 ohm resistors. I dug through, I have a 25 one here. It'll probably still work. I mean, I can replace it later if it's not up to par, but I think it'll be fine. Then I need to put the plug on the end here, and then we'll bring it up on the Variac and see what happens. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it up real slowly. And I mean real slowly. I'm not going to film it, the whole part. I'm just going to set it out at around 25%. I'm going to come back every few minutes and turn it up just a tiny bit more. Could have swore I see a very faint glow already on that pilot. Alright, so over the course of the next 5 to 10 minutes, I'll bring it up. What I'm doing is I'm reforming those electrolytics. But the answer is it does work, but not very well.
We're looking new, longer with 303 premium protectants and cleaners. Live Golf is a content machine these days. That said, the PGA Tour, $3 plus free shipping.
That is AC hum. So either the electrolytics are on their way out, which given by their appearance they could be as old as maybe the 60s or maybe 70s. That's a possibility. It could also be my Variac. So let me plug this into my wall outlet. Even though I kind of doubt that's really the case. That usually doesn't happen with these things. Come on. There we go.
Mother Rocky. Be with you tonight for the Family Rose Across America, live on Relevant Radio, coast to coast from Maui to Maine, broadcasting at close to 200 AM FM stations tonight around the world through the internet. So if you're listening to this,
Yeah, it doesn't sound right. It's cheap insurance. There's only 2 of those electrolytics in here. I'm going to go ahead and replace those 2 guys. So these are marked with their positives on like this way. So it's easy to tell what polarity it is. So that's basically like 50 cents worth of parts. And given this is a collectible radio, it's worth it. Let's put it in there. Alright, the answer is that we're not out of the woods yet. I did replace both of those electrolytics. And it made a little bit of improvement, but I think there's something else going on here.
recent years we've seen, coupled what between, pardon me, the impact of COVID.
Funding for the state to bring on more firefighters. Air Force 2881 President Tim Edwards.
This is curious. Seem to have lost the volume just now. Seems to be heat related. I think the next thing to do is test my tubes. Yeah, I know that sounds like duh, but the fact that I had loud volume and then it started to fade off, that usually indicates to me something is heating up. Could be a resistor or it could be something in the tube. And it's easy enough to, takes just a few minutes to test all these guys, and that way you can cancel those out if they aren't the problem. Well, I might have found a problem. This just broke right off the 12K7 tube. Like I just barely touched it and it came right off. So we might have had a loose connection there that could have caused a problem. 12K7 I believe is first audio, so that would kill everything upstream. Well, wouldn't you know, I don't have any 12K7 tubes here, so I have no way of replacing that to see if that's the issue. Could be something else, I don't know, but anyway, I'm done on the electronics for the night. I think I'm going to start on the cabinet, because why not? Need to take that clock out too so I can get that rewired. Very simple design for the cab. Well, simple construction. The design is a little weird, but definitely interesting. Alright, well, took the clock out and I'm kind of surprised to see this. That's definitely a 50s era rotor and transformer assembly. Now, I'm not sure if it was a direct bolt-in replacement. Telecron didn't change things forever and ever. But it seems to mate up perfectly. I mean, that's the original face and hands, and that's the original movement, but I think the back end of this has been replaced, because in the 30s they had a much fatter rotor than that. Should probably put this somewhere where I'm not going to smash it to smithereens. So where is it? Alright, now it's time to work on the cabinet. Wow, that weighs nothing. I'll take it out and use some Old English, and then we'll follow it up with numerous coats of car wax to bring back the original gloss. Alright, here's the next step. I got some Old English, which is a furniture product you can get at the grocery store, at least if you're in the US. I'm trying to do this one-handed. This thing is so little. Anyway, what I'm going to do is rub it into the finish and let it soak. It'll bring back the original color that this came in, and right now it looks pretty dry. Just going to do this across the entire radio itself. Don't be afraid to use a lot. What we're doing is using it to fill in all of the scratches and dry finish. I think the finish is actually in pretty good original condition. I'd rather have an original condition than a restored finish. That's what I'm trying to say. That's just my thing, though. And as long as it's absolutely not completely fucked up. If it's not perfect, so what? Things like 80 years old. So, in my opinion, it's okay to look like you're 80 years old when you're 80 years old. But for an 80-year-old radio, it sure looks pretty good. Anyway, so you get the idea. We're just going to soak this thing. And then we're just going to let it sit for a little bit and soak this up. And then we'll go after it with some car wax to make it shiny again. You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of those weird, canned, those Danish hams that come in big oblong steel cans. That's what this reminds me of. Okay, so this has been sitting for a little while. You can see the color and richness of the original finish is coming back. But what we need to do now is make sure we lock in this, this sheen, because if this oil will evaporate really quick. And so to kind of seal it up and give it a gloss, I use Carnauba car wax just about on everything, to tell you the truth. Works great on Bakelite too. And we're going to just polish the crap out of this, because this was originally shiny from the factory. And from 80 years of use, it's gotten a little bit dull. So we will bring that back, and it's probably going to look a lot better after about, I don't know, sometimes it can take an hour or more to do this. I just use an old sock and a t-shirt to buff it off. And it just takes a lot of patience. Good morning. So I decided to look at the schematic because there was a few things that were bothering me. One was that resistor that I replaced. I had a sneaking suspicion due to its location that 30 ohms couldn't possibly be the right number. 30 ohms is usually like a power resistor associated with the rectifier or the output. Like this guy is 120 ohm. But this is the one that I'm dealing with right here. And it appears to be going to the plate of 12A8. It says 30M. Now, for whatever reason, in the 1930s, 30M, that really means 30K, 30,000. So the set's not going to work right with a many magnitude smaller resistor stuck in there. That's probably causing my issue. You remember I said BED, body end dot? Well, since the body of the resistor was orange, obviously there's not going to be an orange dot on an orange resistor. So there's an extra band that I didn't account for. So I'm going to go over to the museum / Crazy Uncle Al's and get a new 12K7. And since the grid cap was coming loose on 12Q7, I'm going to get one of those. I might as well get a 3.5L6 as well. And then I'm going to get a 30K resistor, and we'll see if that fixes our problems. I came over to Crazy Uncle Al's and I got what I needed. New old stock tubes. So, of course, whoever buys this is probably going to make it a shelf queen. It'll never actually get used as a radio, but whatever. They'll have a good, solid working radio. Hopefully. And I got a 30K resistor here. All right, so let's do these two things. I'm going to replace this incorrect resistor with the right resistor and install the new tubes. And then pray to the electronic gods that this works. I could be totally, completely wrong, but you never know. Okay, the work has been done. So let's go ahead and fire it up, see what it does. Assuming my plug will reach over here. There we go. A little bit of a nice healthy flash before it got going. Hoping this works. As in I didn't fuck something up last night. That would be a shame. I don't feel like that's the right pilot light. That thing's not getting that bright at all.
On the Dublin Brady's found at San Ramo, no longer in Lanesbrook. Brentwood fire. 75 acres has shut down a stretch of Vasco Road right now between Camino Diablo and Marsh Creek. Your next update at 4:08 on the traffic leader, KCBS. Should be mild overnight with mild overnight lows in advance.
Anyway, don't forget to turn on the radio, Pat, and that way my teasers will all be worthwhile.
Because you're going to answer all of those questions that I have for you.
Yes, I can hardly wait.
Yeah, because I think it's...
Feels like it's way the hell out of alignment or something.
presented, you come out attacking it. I think that is very, very telling. It means that you know that you are not going to look good here.
Well, we'll see. All right, Pat, have a safe drive home, and I'm glad you will be here tomorrow.
Thank you so much, John Rothman. Once again, David Katz will join us at noon tomorrow, and we will be talking about the hearing that you will witness.
McBath won her primary on May 24th, the same day as the Uvalde, Texas mass shooting.
Our Black Music Month Spotlight, The Roots. Originating in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the group has been making music for more than 30 years. Known for an eclectic mix of genres like jazz and R&B, according to the
Scripture is that I am to do what? I am to live by the grace of God through faith, and if I live by His grace...
It's better, but there's something funny going on here. Can't tell if it's a speaker or what. We got rid of the humming noise that we had. Oh, there's an adjustment in the back too. Maybe I should fool around with those. Of course, I'm doing it the completely untechnical way. I'm just doing it by listening. Right, there they are. Just screw adjustments there. Let's fiddle around with those a little bit.
If you'll turn to Galatians chapter 1 and almost to begin in verse 11 and see that first of all, what he says in these first two verses is Paul's defense of the origin of the message of liberty. Now, if you know what I mean by legalism, I simply mean this, that in order to be accepted by God, you follow certain rules and principles, otherwise God won't accept you.
Crap!
There's not one bit of
I cannot do this one-handed. I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna have to put the phone down. I gotta tell you, the alignment was crazy on this. It was way, way, way out. Like everything was basically either screwed in or unscrewed all the way. So I was able to kind of bring it back around.
Black news all day, every day.
The power of information. The Bay Area's BIN 910.
I'm Kevin Brown.
And I'm Terry McCready on your home for 24/7 News. San Francisco's BIN 910.
Primary election day is in the rearview mirror for voters in 7 states. Much of the focus has been on California and its high-profile elections, including whether San Francisco's district attorney should be recalled. Voters answered that question with a resounding yes.
Ugh, I'm so tired of politics. Seems to be working quite a bit better. I think what I'm going to do just for shits and giggles is replace the rest of those. I'm going to clip one of those caps out of there. I'm going to cut it open. If it's got plastic film, then I'll leave the other ones alone. But if it's paper, I'll replace them all. Because that vintage, they're paper, they're probably leaky. Alright, first of all, those things were actually paper caps. So I replaced those. That gingerly brought the improvement of the sound quality up. I went ahead and cleaned the chassis. And now what I'm going to do, I want to see if this Telecron movement still works. Kind of wonder if it does. There's a crap ton of oil oozing out of the bottom of it. Which makes me think someone lubricated it at one point. So let's see. Yep, there she goes. The second hand is sweeping. Let me see if I hear any noise. Oh, it's quiet. It's super quiet. And the thing is, it's probably been off for a long time, so probably what I'll do is I'll freshen up the gears with a little fresh oil. That's good. I was hoping I wasn't going to have to take the drum off and degunk it, which I usually have to do about 50% of the time. This one's going good. Yay, helicopters are going overhead. Anyway, what I'm going to do first for this movement is I'm going to put a little WD-40 on the gears and just let that kind of foam up. It's going to clean some of the old solidified gunk out of there. I let that drain, then I'll follow up with a little light oil and let this drain out here in the pan. You know, you don't want to do this in the yard unless you just want to kill the weeds, which I don't recommend. But anyway, you get the idea. All right, so as mentioned when we got this thing, it had 2 cords coming out the back. It doesn't make any sense why you'd have a separate cord for the clock when you could just run it off of the incoming AC. That said, being dyslexic as I am, there's also this paranoid fear that this is actually the wrong thing to do, and that's going to blow up. Luckily, I have tons and tons of Telecron movement, so if I do it, there is a way out. Okay, right there, we got the sweeping hand movement. It's still sweeping. And the radio's definitely on because we have the... Here's another thought. Will this motor interfere with the reception? Is it going to sound nasty? It shouldn't.
Pat you behind your back and say wrong things and untruths. That's what he does.
Times is times 510-335-9116.
All right, good. My theory, my idiotic theory came true. So now I just need to run wiring off the AC and go through the cabinet, and then we'll connect it up top. So we won't have two cords, just one. How convenient. All right, so it's all done and put back together again. The clock is keeping good time. It's quiet. I did put another polish on the finish, so it's nice and smooth and shiny like it would have come from the factory. The color looks great. Knobs look good.
One of the most beloved Giants, longest tenured coach in Chase history, and Ron Lotus, and he'd take his spot. And
anyway, like I said, this is a fairly desirable collectible radio, and it's probably going to be a shelf queen, even though it'd be kind of cool if someone actually used it. I did not put an audio input in this because I don't tend to do that on historically interesting high value sets like this, because the kind of person that's going to buy this is not going to be the kind of person that tends to buy the dozens of cheap plastic sets like those. This will be auctioned at, if you look it up, it's called Radio Day by the Bay. It will be happening, I believe, I can't remember the dates, but it's late July. You can bid for this online, just like anything else. You can also bid for it in person. All proceeds will go benefit the aforementioned unnameable museum that I volunteer at. Helps us keep the lights on. So that's it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this weird little radio kind of being rejuvenated. And heck, I might even bid on this damn thing. I think it's kind of cool looking. If you have any comments or questions, you can leave them down in the comments section below, and I'll try to get to them. Even though been pretty busy lately, so I'm sorry if I've not been getting back to every single one. So until the next time something comes across my workbench, I'll see you guys next time. Adios.